والآن انضم إلينا مستمعينا الأعزاء المحامي القدير ستيفن لاغانا الذي يعتبر من أهم وأكبر المتخصصين في مواضيع الهجرة. It's been a while a little bit. How are you, Stephen? Good to have you here.
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you for having me. I know it's been a while, and but I'm still close with the community, and I think I've been working in Detroit now like 8 years.
That's great. That's great. So it's been like a coincidence, and we'll take it to the positive point about that. You know what's happening in the immigration laws and the federal government, especially when we talk about things that related to the Arab American community. The bans is a great title that we need to talk and address. What do you have to tell us about the bans, and why do you think this is an important issue that's going to impact a lot of the Arab American?
Well, there are 8 countries on the ban: Chad, North Korea, Venezuela, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. And we get cases from Yemen, Syria, and Libya of people who have been denied visas to come to the United States. And just now that they have started processing waivers. So if people, and the approval rate on those waivers is very, very low.
Very low.
It's very low.
Do you think why? Do you know, like, why it's low?
Well, I think it's because, you know, the standards are the same, but it's obviously the Trump administration, okay, is making the threshold that it be only the people who succeed is low.
Okay, so what is the best process that for? I have a question that comes to me yesterday on Twitter from one of the listener about: is the ban affect new petitions or current in process petitions? So if someone applied for a visa, for example, and he applied it for 6 months ago and he's still waiting, is the ban going to affect him or affect her?
Yes, the ban is going to affect them. It's anyone who is in process of getting a visa.
In the process. Okay. And now with this ban in place, how far this also going to affect the petitions for joining family members to green card holders, or maybe in the future for naturalization?
Well, forget about naturalization. You know, I mean, the first question is, you know, the non-immigrant visas, which is non-green cards, which is temporary visas, and then immigrant visas, which are green cards. So it's affecting both. And they have no choice but to apply for those waivers. But also when people are starting the process from the beginning, they need to know if you're going to be immigrating from those countries, you need to be aware of that problem.
If there is like a customer or a citizen that who have a dual citizenship, for example, Yemen and Morocco, for example, and the ban is affecting the Yemen,
right?
Can he apply using his other nationality?
He could, but obviously he needs to, when he does the National Visa Center, you know, processing, they need to let them know that they're dual citizenship, okay? And they will probably get additional scrutiny.
All right. So now we are talking about things happening in the Middle East, and people may have needs a legal counseling. How far do you think you can communicate with people overseas?
Okay. We honestly, I have people from Iraq and Lebanon call me on WhatsApp all the time.
All the time.
It's like it's next door.
Okay. And what about the news about your new office in Beirut?
Right.
Do you have a new office in Beirut there now?
Right, we are. And like every quarter, we go to Beirut and we meet with the consulate there on cases.
Do you have the contact information, or it's available? Do you think we can share it with the listeners now?
Yeah, we can. I'll give you my number.
Okay.
Okay, and they will call here.
Okay. Go ahead, give the number, please.
Okay, it's 617-283-1018.
All right, and this is a good benefit because a lot of the customers from overseas might be need a counsel about what is the best way and how they can avoid bumps around applying for a visa. What is the advice that you give to our listener now if they're going to apply for a visas, and especially who's under the ban? What are the things that they need to consider if they are applying for the waiver, for example?
They need to, well, if you're from Syria, you need to know you need to get a waiver. And if you're going to have to get the waiver, you need to know that they're going to have to show extreme and unusual hardship for the waiver.
When we're talking about hardship, we are talking about physical, financial hardship, physical disability.
It could be financial, it could be emotional, and obviously what's going on in the country, it would be easy to show that kind of hardship.
Alright, اتصال عبر الهاتف. نقول الو. الو صباح الخير.
Good morning, Stephen.
اهلا وسهلا. ازيك يا ليلى؟
Good morning,
Good
Stephen.
morning.
It's great to hear you again here at US Arab Radio. And I would love really to mention that I didn't really know before that there is a waiver for Syrian and Yemeni, bringing some hopes to applicants. That would be great. Thank you so much for mentioning this, Stephen. And I have one question, because most of us is really confusing about the changes. I need to know what is really the major changes when it comes to immigration nowadays. So many articles in the news, so many information here and there. What are the major changes we need to know when it comes to applying for a green card and citizenship, and also for most of the visas coming to the United States? And thank you so much, Stephen. Bye-bye.
Well, one of the most recent changes is the Supreme Court on June 22nd came down on a case called Perea v. Sessions. And on that case, people who had to go to immigration court, they found that the charging document, which is called the Notice to Appear, which really kind of starts the deportation, that if it didn't include a date and time of when they were supposed to go to court, those NTAs were invalid. Okay? So if the people never got the notice, okay, the immigration courts are reopening those deportations. So that's one of the biggest and the latest change in the law when it came from the Supreme Court. So it's a way of reopening and removing many deportations and orders of removal for people who qualify.
And what are the major qualifications, guidelines that we are looking for here?
Well, no, once again, so these are people who've gone through the immigration court. Okay? So on the NTA, okay, it would say at the date and time of where you're supposed to go to court, it would just say to be determined. All right? And then you're able to add the time that they've been here. If they've been here for over 10 years, they have U.S. citizen children, they would be able to apply for what's called cancellation of removal. Okay? And so they would have a shot, if there's extreme hardship, at getting permanent residency.
All right. So we're still talking about the ban and how it could affect the Arab American community. So if I am an American citizen and I am applying for a petition for my wife or my son, just like blood-related family members, I still can apply for them or not?
You can apply for them, but what's going to happen is it's going to go, USCIS is going to adjudicate the I-130. It's going to go to the National Visa Center. That's going to be approved. It's going to go to a consulate. And then if they're from one of the 8 countries, it's going to stop, and they're going to notify you that a waiver is required.
When they said the waiver required, what are the things that they are looking for? So, for example, if I am applying for my wife, they are looking for documentation, marriage certificates.
Well, they're looking for more than just that it's a bona fide relationship. Okay, they're looking for much more than just a truthful relationship. They're looking for extreme, unusual hardship. And I think that I was just reading the other day that there were maybe 800 waivers applied for, and only 2 got approved.
Wow,
okay,
this is very low.
That's from the ACLU reporting that. Then the Homeland Security came back and they says no, there were actually 100 approved. So it's still low.
Very low.
Right.
All right. So do you think for visas for other purposes like the treatment, visa for health services, visa for education, visa for... What are the window for those kind of visas?
What do you mean the window?
I mean, it's like what their chance to get approved if they're applying for some continued education, someone in health process and they need to get back for another surgery or something.
Well, I think if you look at what the United States has taken in for refugees, and I think it was like the Trump administration was reporting
Down it to 40,000.
And I think even less than that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 20.
For
20,000.
For 2018, maximum is 20.
Yeah, 20. So they are whittling down, okay, persons that can come into the country. So I think the people have to be kind of cognizant that, like, if they do a family petition, if they do a petition for a spouse, there's a risk. You know, it's not the way it was before. And it's not the way it would be like if it was, you know, if it was Iraq versus... Iran. Okay, it's going to be different.
All right.
Because they need a waiver.
From this to another subject, that with the new regulations about what is the connection between having or getting a federal aid like Medicaid, Medicare, food stamp, and get the green card or the process for naturalization.
Okay. Now, before there was some new regulations that came out recently.
Yeah.
Okay. And before the regulations, it only mattered if the person who was getting the green card was getting any public benefit. Okay? And now what they're doing is that they're looking to prevent anyone in the family from getting a benefit. You know? So before, if, say I was going to get the green card, okay, but my kids were getting food stamps or my kids were getting public housing, that was okay, because they're citizens. But now USCIS is on adjustment of status cases. They're going to be reviewing if anyone in the whole family gets a public benefit.
And this will affect or stop their process for naturalization or for green card?
For the green card, okay? When you're going for citizenship, it doesn't matter, okay? But for adjustment of status, it matters.
All right. Usually when someone apply for a petition, usually they come under sponsorship. So someone sponsored them for maybe 3 to 5 years before they can apply for citizenship. So what is the problem if there is a sponsor and in the same time they are getting a public assistant? This is the problem?
Okay. When every green card requires an affidavit of support, okay? The affidavit of support says, it's a contract with the United States government, and it says that while the person, after he gets his green card, he can't get a public benefit, okay? And if you do, that person would owe the money to the U.S. government. So say with me, say I got a green card and someone else did the affidavit of support, then they would have to pay the amount of that public benefit to the government.
All right, we have only 1 minute remaining for our segment today with you, ستيفن لاغانا. Unfortunately, the time is short. So what is the best way to communicate with you, either for here or overseas for the Middle East, for issues regarding immigrations? And we know the number is 617-283-1018. مرة أخرى مستمعين الأعزاء الرقم 617-283-1018. And what about the communication here in Detroit, ستيفن?
The same number.
Same number.
Same number.
There's like a preferred time for communication?
9 to 5 is best.
مرة أخرى مستمعينا الأعزاء رقم للتواصل مع المحامي القدير في شؤون القضايا الخاصة بالهجرة ستيفن لاغانا، الرقم 617-283-1018، الهاتف 617-283-1018 لكل الأسئلة القانونية حول قضايا الهجرة. Stephen, any last word for our listener?
Please call me if you have any questions on immigration in the United States, any questions, immigration on a criminal matter, and they could just call 617-283-1018.
شكرا. Thank you very much, Stephen. Glad to have you here this morning, and we're gonna try to bring you to the studio again in another time where we can talk more about in details.